So, hey, yo, Schizo Jitsu here, MMA Grind. I want to touch on a subject that I did hit briefly in my last video about the UFC's pound-for-pound rankings. The new rankings came out. We got the top five is Islam Makhachev at number 1, Alex Pereira at number 2, John Jones number 3, Ilya Topuria at number 4, and Bilal Muhammad at number 5. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but okay, well, the general consensus, you got haters like Henry Triple C Cejudo saying that, you know, Pereira, this is my argument for Pereira being number 1 compared to Islam and just the narrative that's going along. Like, don't be wrong, Islam Makhachev is a bad motherfucker. You know, he's a beast. But the narrative is going around is that Alex Pereira has not faced a high-level wrestler. Okay, so Islam number 1. Let's look at his record, okay? I want to know, because this actually goes back to Khabib. This is the one thing that kind of always bugged me about Khabib's record. Not that he's not a beast, wasn't one of the GOATs, all that, right? Undefeated. But I always wanted to see him fight a high-level wrestler, which never happened. He never fought a high-level wrestler. The highest level wrestler he fought, I mean, this has nothing to do with today's modern-day pound-for-pound, but we're talking about Khabib, right? One of the GOATs and arguably one of, you know, the best lightweights of all time, all that, but and that was the one gripe I had, like, man, I want to see him against a high-level wrestler. I want to see him against so-and-so, whoever. Gleison Tibau was one of the guys he fought. He literally had a close fight with Gleison Tibau. A lot of people thought Tibau won that fight. Personally, I didn't think he won that fight, but I felt like Khabib basically won that fight just the way Merab beat Aldo, just the way Aldo just lost against Batista, just basically getting held up against a cage, not much going on, just a whole lot of aggression, but not really any takedowns at all or any damage. You know, Tibau was able to stifle all those takedowns. Okay, that's one. That's one high-level wrestler that he fought. Another one was Justin Gaethje, which we won't. You know, we all know Justin Gaethje. I mean, he beat Jordan Burroughs in college. He was a beast wrestler, but he hasn't really used wrestling in MMA at all. Like, he pretty much wants to stand and bang, kind of like the modern day Chuck Liddell. He's like Chuck Liddell with leg kicks. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to stand up. He wants to knock people out. You know, he's not into, like, he's zapping his gas tank. So he was never that type of fighter anyway to wrestle as soon as he got to the UFC or MMA period. But he is a high-level wrestler for sure. I mean, you know, NCAA wrestler, all that. And then we have Ali Quinta, who Khabib actually won the belt, the lightweight belt against Ali Quinta on short notice, like 6 days notice or less. Ali Quinta was like a JUCO wrestler, not exactly a high-level wrestler. No disrespect to Ali Quinta, he's a beast. I mean, he's definitely a high-level grappler coming out of the Ray Longo camp and all that. So, I mean, he had the jiu-jitsu, he has some sick boxing, great hands, and he was able to stifle a lot of what Khabib was trying to do as far as takedowns. Khabib actually had to outstrike Ali Quinta. Ali Quinta was a little gun-shy a little bit. I mean, he was like, you know, he was literally going to go against the striker. He didn't even train wrestling for that camp. So, I mean, this was like a last-minute replacement. So he went against Khabib, one of, you know, crazy-ass beast, Dagestani wrecking machine, right? So, but Khabib was not able to just take him down over and over. After the first, second round, he really didn't get any takedowns. He had to kind of outstrike him, jab, use his unorthodox striking style to get that win. And he won every round for sure. Khabib dominated, but it wasn't like a total, like, it wasn't like Khabib made him wrestle and just, you know, ragdolled him the whole fight. That just did not happen. It just didn't happen. He could not take him down after a while. And we're talking a JUCO wrestler. That's high school wrestling and then junior college. Not saying that's nothing, because for sure it's good. Like I said, Alex Quinta's a fucking beast. You know what I mean? He's a monster. I'm just saying, like, as far as high-level wrestler that we call, like a Triple C or whatever, Henry Cejudo type wrestler who gets taken down by Merab and carried across the cage. But that's another video. But anyway, so that's Khabib. He didn't really face any high-level wrestlers. I always wanted him to face a high-level wrestler. It didn't happen. You know, he retired, whatever. Okay, that's besides the point. Okay, I'm looking at Islam Makhachev, who's number 1 pound for pound. I'm going off this argument, the narrative that Alex Pereira has not fought a high-level wrestler, so he can't be pound for pound. Okay, Islam Makhachev, I'm looking at his record right now. I'm looking at his stats. He fought Martins, which he lost. He's won every fight since. Wade, Lance, None of these guys. He fought T-Bow as well. You know, he was able to defeat him in one round. You know, but there's a KO, TKO. But this was a lot later than when Khabib fought him. T-Bow was on his way out. You know what I'm saying? It's not making excuses for T-Bow, but it wasn't a wrestling match. That's for damn sure. Michael Johnson, who has really good wrestling, but he's the same as kind of like a Justin Gaethje, who doesn't like to use the wrestling too much because he doesn't want to gas himself, so he throws a lot of hands. He has fast-ass hands, you know. So, I mean, Arman Tsarukyan, that was a close fight. You know, I mean, obviously, Islam won the fight. You know, there's no argument there. But it went decision, and that's a wrestler who actually was able to take down Islam and stifle a lot of his takedowns. And he is a good wrestler. He's I consider Arman Tsarukyan a high-level wrestler. Okay, so that's one. You know, I mean, I won't even say the T-Bow fight, but you can say, okay, two. You know, out of I don't know how many freaking fights he's had already. Davi Ramos, that's a jiu-jitsu guy. You know what I mean? It's not the same. Dober, no. Moises, none of these guys. Dan Hooker, obviously, he's not a wrestler. You know, Bobby Green definitely has some wrestling. He has some high school wrestling. Actually, he was legit, but at the same time, he's the same way. He don't like to wrestle. He's trying to stand and bang, and you know, I was also on a short notice type of, you know, fight. So Makhachev was able to kind of ragdoll him and get him out of there quick. You know, we all know that. Okay, so Charles Oliveira, okay, that brings us to him. He's definitely a high-level grappler, but he's not a wrestler. You know, so, I mean, we're talking we're talking two high-level wrestlers that Islam's fought, and he's been in the UFC for so long, right? Maybe one, actually. One high-level, and T-Bow, who was on his way out kind of fighters. Okay, so now look at his wins. There's another point that I wanted to make, was that as far as championship wins or former champion wins, okay, we're talking Islam, number one pound for pound. He has literally 3 wins over former champions, and really it's only 2 people. It's one win over Charles Oliveira, who we all know is a freaking beast. He used to be a featherweight, but now he was a lightweight when he lost to Islam. Volkanovski, who is a featherweight champion and a beast, and had a very close fight in the first round where a lot of people thought Volk won that fight. I didn't think Volk won. I mean, when you think about the championship round, when everything counts, the championship rounds, well, round 5 is the biggest and important round. That's the one Volk dominated Islam in. You know, like pound for pound fighter, number 1 does not get dominated in the 5th round of a championship fight. And Volkanovski dominated Makhachev. A lot of people thought he won that fight. You know, I didn't think he won the fight. I thought Islam did enough, but he did get his ass beat in that last round. Got taken down even. Volk's not a wrestler. He's an Australian wrestler, rugby player. You know what I'm saying? And he's a featherweight moving up to fight him. Okay, and then the rematch, obviously Islam knocked him out, head kick, dead, first round, short notice. Again, another short notice fight. We're seeing a trend here. And I'm not shitting on Islam. He's a fucking beast. But he's not been so dominant like the way Khabib or all these guys. He's not making people just wrestle with him. He's not dominating and blowing them out of the water either. You know, so we're talking 2 champions, former champions that on his resume that he's beat. That's it. 2. Charles Oliveira and the Bronx, who's a fucking beast, and Volkanovski twice. And then you got Dustin Poirier, who obviously he's a fan favorite. I love DP. He's a fucking, I'm not saying I love double penetration. No, I'm saying I love DP. He's a fucking beast, okay? He's 0-2 in title fights. He lost against Khabib. He lost against Islam. And he's definitely not a wrestler. He has some good grappling. You know, he's black belt jiu-jitsu. But he's known for his hands, okay? And he had a fucking tough fight with Dustin Poirier. That was up for grabs up going into those last rounds, those championship rounds. And Islam did get the finish in the 5th round submission, but that was a tough fight where DP could have fucking got that win. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows if it went to the cards? Who knows what would have happened? You know, so, and he's 0-2 in title fights. So we're literally talking 2 champions, former champions that he's beat. And that's it. And where's all these high-level wrestlers that seems to be the criteria of who's, like, pound for pound? You know, now let's look at Alex Pereira's record. Obviously, he don't have that many fights in the UFC. Still kind of a newbie, right? He hasn't fought a whole lot. But the only one he's have pretty much fought is nothing but champions recently. You know, his first fight, Michailidis, came in with a freaking flying knee from hell just to make a statement like, yes, welcome. I'm in the UFC, bitches. That's it. This is what you got to deal with now. And he came in just devastating fashion. Fought Bruno Silva, which was a good fight, southpaw. You know, and he fucking hit Bruno Silva with everything he could. I mean, Bruno Silva's a tough freaking SOB, you know what I mean? Like, he was able to eat those shots, land some stuff on Pereira, but we're talking a second fight in the UFC, Pereira, you know what I mean? Like, he was having some problems with him, but it's shit, man. It's going to happen, right? Okay, so he's not at that top level yet. Okay, now he fights Sean Strickland, who is a former champion. We're going to keep that tally. That's already one former champion. And he destroyed Sean Strickland, knocked him out in the first round, made it look easy. You know, one of his easiest fights. Not to say shit about Strickland, he's a fucking beast, but he got caught. You know, he got set up with that left hand, jabbing to the body. You know, he reaches for a lot when he defends, and just got hit up top with the left hook with Pereira's deadliest weapon he has, you know, and knocked him out cold. So that's one. Izzy Adesanya, the whole reason basically Pereira even came to the UFC, that's number two former champions that he beat him in the 5th round, TKO. And, you know, it was a close fight. He was probably down. He probably won 1 round, maybe 2 up until that point. Going into the 5th, it was still anyone's match. But we're talking a 5-round championship fight where we have, like, Volk beating Islam in that 5th round championship fight. This guy has only had a couple fights in the UFC, and he comes in, and he's the fresher fighter in that 5th round. Regardless if Izzy was up 3 rounds and 1, whatever it was, Pereira was a fresher fighter in that 5th round, and it showed. You know, Izzy tried to grapple with him and took him down, laid on him, whatever, for a whole round. The damage was done. Pereira chopped up his legs, landed some big shots. He was the fresher fighter in the 5th, and he went for it. And he freaking finished Izzy, one of the best strikers in history. So, right? So that's already 2 now former world champions that Pereira beat. And then he lost the rematch. Okay, you know, 185 depleted. Both fights he's depleted. You know, he's a freaking monster, walking around 230 to 240, cutting down to 185. That's ridiculous. He shouldn't have even been doing that, but at the same time, you know, he wanted to get at Izzy. So it is what it is. And he took the fight, signed on the dotted line, made the weight, and he got knocked out. He was actually dominating that fight until he got knocked out. Like, he was chopping up Izzy's both legs, and he was already compromised before that knockout. But whatever, you know, props to Izzy. He made it happen, right? He hit that grand slam home run, bottom of the 9th, and finished, you know, landed on Pereira's face and knocked him the fuck out. That's what happens, right? Okay, well, so whatever. He lost that fight. We're not going to count that. You know, Islam got knocked out too by Adriano Martins, who is a beast too. A lot of people discredit Martins, but Martins was explosive as fuck. I remember Martins, you know, like, he might not have had such a, you know, great UFC career, but that fool was a fucking killer when it came to the feet. He was really explosive, fast, twitch muscles, really sharp. So, I mean, you can't even discredit that much. I mean, we're talking Islam's first fight. Okay, well, that brings us to Jan Blachowicz in a light heavyweight fight in altitude in Utah. I was actually at that fight, but okay, so Jan is also a former world champion. That's 3 now. He was a light heavyweight champ before. And that's 3 wins he has now. That was a close decision. Like, seeing it live, I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Pereira lost that fight. I was fucking pissed. But, you know, when I went back and rewatched it, I could see why they gave it to him. You know, damage. You know, like, Jan, like, yeah, he laid on him in the first round, had him in trouble, had a rear naked choke in, had hooks in, had a body triangle on him, which should check the box that Pereira has no wrestling or can't survive against a good grappler, you know, because Jan did have him in a lot of trouble in that first round, where I was like, fuck, I was pissed already, but whatever. Pereira pulled through. He did outstrike him in the last 2 rounds. And if that had went 5 rounds, who knows what would have happened? He probably would have knocked out Jan. Jan was gassed. He was done. Like, he said at the end of the match, after the end of the round 3, he was sitting on his ass for an extra 2 minutes, you know, like, he was tired as fuck. He was gassed. You know, Pereira put it on him with a jab, with everything. And it's not that easy to hold this big guy down, this monster, you know. So, you know, that's already 3 world champions that beat. That's already more than what Volk has done. Okay, we're talking pound for pound here. 2 different weight classes now. Islam just stayed in 1. Yeah, he's beat people from 2 different weight classes when they move up to fight him. But that's it. Okay, now it brings us to Yuri Prochazka. You know, Yuri was a freaking beast, beat his mentor, basically his #1 training partner and coach. He beat Glover Teixeira, and basically before Teixeira lost to Jamal Hill, you know, in a freaking, really, he had a Hail Mary right there because Glover was winning the fight. Could have stayed away in the 5th round, but he ended up losing that fight to Yuri. But still, Yuri's a very dangerous, unorthodox striker, very scary guy to fight, you know, and Alex Pereira, it was a kind of a quick stoppage, I'm not going to lie, in the 2nd round. But he did catch him. He did drop him. And it was a little, he was hurt. He was tagging up his legs already. He was smashing on him. He was doing his thing. Prochazka, took him down, picked him up, and didn't really slam him, but took him down. Had some top control. Wasn't able to do much with it. Pereira gets back to his feet second round. At the end of the first, and then the second round, just catches him clean with that right hand, left hook combo. His patented really a short punch that dropped him. Ends up on top, throws some elbows. They stopped the fight pretty quick. It was a quick stoppage for sure, but it was not looking good for Yuri in that fight. And we see what happened in the rematch. Okay, so that's already four former world champions to 2 for Islam, right? So where is this argument? The resume is already speaking for itself. And then we got UFC 300 where Alex Pereira fights Jamal Hill, and that fight. Jamal Hill, yeah, he was coming off an injury, long layoff, all that. I get it. He wasn't at his absolute best, number one, 100% or whatever. But regardless, he was a former world champ. He smashed on Jamal Hill in 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 14 seconds, knocked him the fuck out. It was a little controversy there because Jamal Hill made it controversy. He low blows him, kicks him. Pereira's like, no, I'm good. Let me finish this guy real quick. Closes the distance, and then knocks him the fuck out. Maybe not out cold, but I think he knocked him out, woke him up, knocked him out, woke him up again, and then Chama, it's it. So that's 5 now. That's 5 world champions he's beat. That's 5 world champions to Islam's 2. Then he has a rematch with Prochazka, because there was some controversy in the first fight, maybe it was a quick stoppage, this and that. Who else is going to fight? Ankalaev is dicking around and only wants to fight in Abu Dhabi or whatever the fuck. He's only fought once since July of last year, while Pereira's fought 6 times. So, he wants to call the shots, but realistically, he had a draw with Jan and beat Johnny Walker, so that does not mean you deserve a title shot just because you know Sambo or have some sort of wrestling background that could be Pereira's freaking tough match or whatever. That shit just does not make sense to me. To me, pound for pound means you're making these guys fight your fight. That's it, no matter what they bring. Everyone knows, just like back in the day, Jose Aldo, everyone wanted to take him down. Impeccable takedown defense, still has that. They still can't take him down. Marab, this fucking dick last weekend, Bautista, couldn't take him down. They're getting the wins by holding him. Pereira got taken down by Jan, got his bag taken, no damage done. Next 2 rounds, he won the fight. And then he got a tough test with Khalil Roundtree for a couple rounds, about a good round and a half of the fight. After that, he kind of took over. I'm not trying to downplay what Roundtree did. He outperformed what a lot of people thought he was going to do. Me included. I thought it was 2 rounds, but I also knew he was very dangerous, and it was a scary matchup because he is so explosive and powerful and strong and just so fucking fast that he could land that left, and he did. He did land a lot of shots, and that just shows Pereira's chin is way better at 205, and I don't see a lot of these guys, Ankalaev included, beating him anytime soon. Maybe if he goes up to heavyweight, Tom Aspinall, that's another story. The guy's a freaking killer. He's fast hands, boxing. I think Pereira might have trouble with the boxing type aspect of it and being so fast, and obviously jiu-jitsu since he was a kid or whatever, but where's a high-level wrestler? I get it, but so we're talking 6 title fights that he won, 5 former champs to Islam's 2, and as far as just domination, he's dominating these guys. Jan, that was a close fight, could have went either way. I'm not going to lie. Islam and Volk, the number 1, could have went either way. So DP was in that fight until he got finished. So where is this total domination for Islam as well? Where is these high-level wrestlers that he's fought other than Arman Tsarukyan, who he's going to fight again? Who Arman's improved a lot. See what happens in that fight. But he's not so dominant where he's making people fight in the element where wrestling or whatever that he's supposed to be so dominant at, which he hasn't really been, but he's not that dominant on all these fights. Alex Pereira is making these guys fight. Yeah, the matchups, maybe, whatever, but that's just how it is. That's the nature of the game. That's the era we're in, where there is a lot more stand-up fighters and kickboxers. So that is the reason he's fighting these guys. There's not a lot of wrestlers at light heavyweight. So it's like everyone's last-ditch effort is for Pereira to lose to Ankalaev or something. That's his best match. But Ankalaev himself said he's not going to wrestle him. He's going to kickbox with him. So he don't even recognize, he don't even identify as a wrestler. He's a Sambo guy. He has 0 submissions in the UFC. So who is that? Paul Craig beat him. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, I'm just making the argument. Obviously, Alex Pereira is number 2, pound for pound. John Jones, as long as John Jones is still fighting, he's actually number 1. But I'm kind of with Dana on that. But everyone else, Islam, Alex Pereira, all these, I feel like the argument of him hasn't fought a wrestler. Well, these guys haven't either. I understand Dagestani privilege. Islam's fought 1 or 2 wrestlers in his career. Khabib never really, just Gleison Tibau was the main wrestler he ever fought, and he had a tough time with him. He couldn't take him down. So, I mean, where does it say pound for pound you got to be able to fight wrestlers and beat them? Like, it's not the most rounded fighter. It's pound for pound. We're talking 2 different weight classes. He's talking about going up to heavyweight. That'd be 3 weight classes. If he wins up there, like, is there any denying? I mean, I know pound for pound is some made up shit anyway, media stuff. It's hype, but at the same time, stop hating on my boy, Alex Pereira, Chama, Poatan, Hands of Stone. He's pound for pound in my eyes, number 1. He's the most dominant fighter we have right now, the most exciting fighter. He saved like 3 cards. We're talking short notice, whatever the fuck notice, no notice, coming in, saving cards, time and time again. And nobody else is doing what he's doing right now. That's our pound for pound. And that's all I got. Like, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. And that's it.